getting, I keep on getting these vegans telling me like, oh, PETA's a single issue campaign. Like, what are you talking about? PETA's a single issue campaign? Like, do I need to show you what the PETA website looks like? And by the way, I endorse no one. This the views of this channel um, are mine alone and represent no group or organization. Here you go. On the top it says animals are not ours to experiment on, eat, wear, use for entertainment, or abuse in any other way. All right, that's it. Okay. I would say that's pretty close to the definition of veganism. Animals are not ours to experiment on, eat, wear, use for entertainment, or abuse in any other way. It seems pretty freaking simple. But people, I keep on. I'm not here to defend PETA, okay? But here's what it is, okay? Let me just tell you what it is. What PETA is. It's an organization that's quite massive that is against using animals in any way because it's a vegan organization. The organization also calls itself abolitionist. How to get to abolition of animal use, that's up for grabs. You could tell me if you got a better idea, you let me know. But for the time being, PETA is taking up any animal cause. If there's an animal cause, they're doing something about it. How? They're going to Congress. They're buying stocks in Ralph Lauren to sit on their board of trustees. No, trustees trust of board of investors. They're sending people like me around the country to talk about veganism and show people the cruelty that they're engaged in. But Scott, you said cruelty. Is that welfareist? Look, man, is it welfareist to point out cruelty? To say, hey, that's cruel? Is that welfareist? You tell me. What do you think, kind sir, kind ma'am, and everyone in between? What do you think? Is it welfareist to point out that the symptoms of this way of thinking that we are above anybody else evolves into cruelty? Is that welfarism? See, I believe in the very simple idea that we aren't better than anyone else. It's quite a just a flat type of concept, right? It involves kind of some Asian philosophy that you can't have good without evil because so that means evil ain't really evil. You can't have joy without suffering, and that means suffering isn't really evil. It can't have life without death, and therefore death isn't really evil. Life and death are just things that exist. I think it's very weird when people take a stand saying death is bad. Death is just death. It's not bad. There's no value judgment to place on it. This is all very, I think, very simple thinking. I'm a very simple man, very ignorant and dumb. I'm just a dumb, simple man who thinks that humans humans just aren't any better than any other animal. I don't think that's a big deal. Anyway, maybe PETA should make campaigns about culling. This is the thing. Like on one side, I've got culling culling predator arguments on one side who are just like these Nazis. I'm so tired of them. These children who think that they've come up with a new idea. Like kill them all is not a new idea. Death is bad, so therefore kill. Suffering is bad, so therefore Holocaust. It's a very dumb childish way of looking at the world, and it's right in line with the thinking of the Nazis, like using pseudoscience and hypotheticals to defend killing a whole group of people. That's what you're doing. Look, I don't care how you feel about PETA. I don't care how you feel about culling predators. Is so stupid. It's such a stupid, idiotic idea. So childish. What I care about is trying to get you to think in a different way that isn't we are over them. This whole Deutschland über alles type of thinking leads to ghastly corners and to horrible situations you can't get out of very easily once you're there. The way of thinking needs to be eradicated. Not anyone, not anything. A way of thinking needs to be eradicated. And that way of thinking is hierarchy. You don't you are not under anyone else and you are not over anyone else. And your species is not over anybody else. Your race is not over anybody else. Your gender is not over anybody else. It's quite simple. Death is not better than life. It's just the other side of it. Life is not better than death, though I kind of want to go on living. It's not any better. It's just this is what I'm doing now. I'm going to make the most out of it. Whatever happens after I die, I'll just go back to whatever I was doing before I was living. I hope it's good. I don't know what it is. I hope that I keep going in some form. But if not, that's okay too. Doesn't make it evil. Makes it a little scary. Not evil. So, if you want to come at me about PETA or your childish ideas about culling carnivores, look, try to read a book, try to fight your own ignorance first, because ignorance is something that it's just sad. It just makes me sad. It just makes me sad, and I don't want to think about how veganism is filled with Nazis all the time. I don't want to think about it all the time. It bothers me because I'm out here fighting for the animals. What are you doing? Starting arguments in the street? Is that what you're doing? Starting arguments in the street? Shit, maybe that's what we're all doing. Maybe we need to be raising awareness. Maybe we need to start showing people what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but um I'll be out here trying to do something for as long as I can until I burn out. It's bound to happen someday. And I'm just going to keep doing that. All right. But the main focus is that I want to stop the way of thinking that you have the right and the wisdom to decide for anyone else what they should do, whether they be animal, vegetable, or mineral, for all I care. Look, I'm just joking about the vegetables and the minerals, okay? What I'm trying to say is you do not have the wisdom. But what if we did have the wisdom? You don't. You don't. A policy of non-interference in the lives of animals is the greatest one, because the second you think that you're better than an animal and gets to decide who gets to live and die, you get what we already got. That's what we got. All these carnivore culling Nazis, they're saying the same shit that the carnies, they're just carnies. That they're over the animals, they get to decide what happens. That's where we are today. That's the status quo. Deciding for animals has led us to this. We have giant, massive organizations that are that are only engaged in murdering animals. I drove through Nebraska yesterday and saw those farms. So and so beef master land as far as you can see, covered with cows. I drove through CAFOs. These CAFOs are so huge. What are they called? What are they called? Concentrated animal feed organizations. Is that what they're called? CAFOs. I'm driving through them. They're so big. They're on both sides of the road, and this is what it looks like when you decide where cows get to live and when they die. This is what that looks like. We already have it. Yes. Leah Wilburn, I think you're too focused on the carnivore killing thing. I know a ton of AR activists barely hear anyone. I know, because people keep on bringing it up at me, and I'm sick of it. But it's not really about killing carnivores, Leah. That's the problem that I'm having. they don't seem to get the idea that the dominant thinking that you're dominant over somebody else is the problem. This Third Reich way of thinking is exactly where we get, and I'm tired of it. Yes. I know every ARA activist that I talk to also doesn't, they don't ever, they think it's ridiculous, it's stupid. I totally agree. Thank you. But yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Try to not be a Nazi today, that's all, you know?